Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of TCG Talk, back today with another video. And in today's video, I wanted to talk about legendary equipment and kind of the evolution of specifically legendary equipment and the evolution of legendary equipment, and how I think LSS is really starting to revert back to where they want legendary to be, because I think right now people are seeing like these new legendaries over the course of the last few sets, and they're very much like underwhelmed in a way, or like, you know, or like, hey, this isn't good enough, or this seems boring or whatever, especially with the new chess piece for Runeblade. And it really just procked me to want to make the discussion of talking about legendaries and why I think they're making legendaries the way they are right now. If you like this type of content, please leave a like, comment, subscribe. If you're new to the channel, welcome. Thank you so much for joining. If you're a long-standing supporter, you're amazing as always. Thank you so much. Feel free to check out the Patreon and Discord down below. But yeah, so I have a list of legendaries here. This also has legendary cards in it, but legendary equipment, I guess we can change this really fast to equipment. There we go. And so we have the legendary equipment here, and there's a lot, right? So we have 3, 6, 12, 18, 24, 30, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41 pieces, and we're missing one piece from the new set, I think, right now. So I think we're going to have 42 legendary pieces, right, of equipment. And legendary equipment is kind of multifaceted. Obviously, it's a very powerful piece of equipment. It's an equipment piece that's supposed to be more impactful than your normal, like, run-of-the-mill generic or, like, common to rare level equipment or majestic level equipment in that slot. When it comes to class-specific equipment, I think it also plays into the thematics of how that deck is supposed to be played, or how that hero is supposed to be played, or the thematics of the type of hero, right? Like Guardian having a lot of block, you know, Ninja having a lot of ways to attack a little bit more or go faster, you know, Runeblade having this like really like blinged out armor and things like that. I think they all play into one another. Also, side kind of Easter egg note, if you pay attention, each part of the equipment piece signifies something. Most of the time, headpieces are for block, most of the time, or disruption type techniques, just like your headpiece would be to protect you. Most time, headpieces are for block, or if you look through others, they enable like a certain ability, but most time they're for block or have some type of like ability that's thematic with the class. Chess pieces most of the time are block as well, but also can enable resource generation, like Heart and Cross Strap, Tunic. So headpiece is normally for block, chess piece is normally for sometimes block, but mainly resource generation. Tunic, Flame Scale Furnace gives you resources, right? Different ones, Heart and Cross Strap gives you resources most of the time. Arm pieces is for attacking, which makes sense. Whether it's creating a rune chant with Grasp the Arknight, breaking skills giving you extra attack, Iron Psalm versus making courage tokens, which gives you more attack, things of that nature. Shock Charmers putting on damage. So arm pieces are normally for damage, and then legs are normally for action points. Storm Striders, Snapdragon Scalers, Spellbound Creepers. There's a method to why they're doing what they're doing, right? Your headpiece is protective, your chest piece is for resources, your arm piece is to attack, and your leg piece is to speed things up, right? Most of the time. Or it has to do with the opposite, like mitigating damage, mitigating block, whatever it may be. All I have to say, if we go to the first couple sets, right? Like, let's just go to set 1 really fast, because the shortened version of what I'm going to do in this video is show you that when I think the power level of where legendaries were at the beginning of the game, I don't think LSS truly realized, and it's nothing they did wrong, I just don't think they truly realized how powerful these are. And I think they realized that early legendaries were starting to become you can't ever get better than this without truly making a broken card. And like, you look at Tunic, it's still a staple. It will always be a staple. This card is so powerful, there's just no chess piece that's better unless you're trying to block or whatever. But for resource generation, if that's the point of using a chess piece, which most chess pieces are for some type of resource generation, there's nothing better than Tunic at a base level for the most part, unless you really are trying to play into a specific archetype. You know, you even look at this warrior piece, Brave Force Bracers. It has 3 block on it because it has Battle Worn. It doesn't go away, and it gives you +1 on your attacks if the first weapon hit. That's literally what Warrior wants to do 9 times out of 10. To do better than this is very difficult. For Ninja, being able to draw cards, by hitting people. That's crazy powerful. Scab Skin Layers having 3 block and being able to give you action points. Very powerful, right? You look at the power level of just these initial legendaries, right? And then if we even go to the second set, if I can find it here, or not even second set, let's go to Monarch. I think that's a good spot of where the game started to have a turning point. Phantasmal Footsteps, constant use. Valiant Dynamo, one of the best warrior. If you can continue to get counters, this thing can get you 5+ block in a game. Carrion Husk blocks for 6. Like, look at the power level of these legendaries, and I think they started to realize that, oh crap, we're making legendaries that are so powerful. It's actually going to be really difficult to make more powerful cards without breaking the game. B, it limits our design space because in order to get people to play other cards, you're going to have to either make archetypes in new heroes where the old legendaries don't make sense, but those legendaries are so universal that it's hard to do that. And so it limits your design space as a game. So what they started to do, in my opinion, starting in, we won't say Dynasty, we'll go to Uprising, if I can find it here. They started to reel back legendaries a little bit. So Flamescale Furnace, very, very good, right? It has 3 block, and it can generate Ash for Jeremiah. It can generate resources in general. But this is like the pinnacle of the legendaries in this set. Coronet Peak's pretty good. It makes them discard a card if you can consistently use it, but really it's for the 2 block. Ghostly Touch is a tech card. Shuko is really good on Fi. Has a lot of natural synergies, but it's not exactly broken. It just equates to maybe like 5 to 6 points of damage throughout the whole game. Crown of Province is very good. But you can see like most of these cards have like good one-time uses, or they have good like a couple uses during the game, but nothing like game-changing per se. Just really, really good uses. Then you go to Outsiders, which is where I really think they started to go back. So once they get to Outsiders, I think you start to see like, okay, they're starting to make legendary pieces that are more thematic, that still have a very acceptable power level, but they're not broken, right? They're legendary pieces that have a very powerful ability, but if you're trying to do a very certain thing, right? And they're not just going to stay on the field and do all this crazy stuff all the time. Van Brance is really good for preventing people from preventing damage, but it's not, this is a very tech card, right? It's very much used in a certain playstyle against a certain playstyle. Flick Knives is probably the most universal best one of this group because it's Assassin and Ninja. And this allows you it's really better for Assassin, but it allows you late game to have a certain way of playing. Like if you play Fatigue style or you play like late game, this basically puts a lot of pressure on your opponent not to go to a certain life total. Trench of Sunken Treasure, it's really good in Riptide. It's kind of Riptide's legendary, but it's really meant for a specific playstyle. The Quiver, again, certain playstyle. And Redback Shroud, certain playstyle. All of these are playstyle driven legendaries that have high thematics. And then we finally go till Dusk Till Dawn. And you kind of see how this is also going. The Dyadic Carapace, which I think is one of the better legendaries as total use, it's class specific, has AB2 and 3 block. Really, really good, but it's really kind of a utility legendary, right? Iron Song Versus probably is one of the best legendaries in the set. Once per turn action, your next sword attack its turn gates. When it hits a hero, create a courage token. But it's playing into that courage token archetype. Even though this is very good, it has 3 block with temper, and it has a very powerful ability. If you're not trying to make courage tokens in your warrior deck, which you should be, but if you're not, then it's just a 3 block, right? It's meant for a certain archetype within warrior. So that way, if they ever make a new archetype in warrior, this isn't just a staple card that's always put in, right? It might not be as useful. Scowling Flesh Bag, even for Rhinar with Intimidate, like this is probably the most intrinsic to the hero's ability. But you could argue Crown of Providence, like because this is a one-time use, like it has a super powerful ability to be able to stop your opponent on their offensive turn or slow them down, but it also only happens once. So do you pick like that one-time use? Do you go with Skull Cap that gives you 3 block? Do you go with Crown of Providence that cycles your arsenal? You still have to make that decision point, right? Even as powerful as it is. All this to say, I think they realized that the old legendaries were like so staple that they were never going to get swapped. And you have 2 options at that point. You either ban the old legendaries, which no one wants to see happen, especially like these, cold foil legendaries that people get so excited to pull. Or you revert the design space and you slowly reel it back one set after another. You don't do it drastically, you slowly reel back. And if you go on your own, go to February, go set by set with legendaries, and you'll start to see the slow reel back of power level, to where it's very archetype specific, it's very class specific, and it's very like generic, but also good enough to where it makes sense. It's a legendary, right? I think it's a really good thing to do, and it's really awesome for LSS. Commend them to be able to almost like revert their design space, but not in a negative way. So super excited to see where legendaries are going. I'm satisfied with how legendaries have been the last two sets. Some people are like, they're lower power level. Well, yeah, because they're not broken like other ones were. You have to manage that. So let me know what your thoughts are on it, though. It's a really interesting topic. I think it's something that's kind of cool to talk about, and I'd love to hear y'all's thoughts on it. It's just a really interesting concept as far as like fixing your design space in a way when it comes to a certain part of the game. If you like this type of content, please leave a like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what your thoughts are on it. I'd really love to hear it. Look forward to keep doing daily uploads this month. Let me know what you'd like to see, and I'll see y'all next time on TCG Talk. Thank y'all so much.